Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River, it's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 6:07, Friday, June 24th, 71 degrees, get up to 73 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com, 732-505-1160. We are now joined by Ray Salva. He is the executive director of the Peto Museum in beautiful Island Heights, New Jersey. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Thank you for coming in. It's so hard for us to get 6 a.m. guests, so we really owe you. No, I'm just joking. So why don't you give us kind of an overview? What is the Peto Museum?
Peto Museum is a really unique entity in the state of New Jersey. We are a museum, a historic preservation site, and a cultural center that's housed within the home and studio of John Frederick Peto. And Peto was a 19th century American still life artist and master of trompe-l'oeil painting. Again, we're unique. It's an artist's house and studio museum in the Garden State, the only one that is recognized by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, their Historic Artist Homes and Studios Network. We are the only Garden State museum, one of 35 located within the home and studio of an American artist. So we have that recognition along with other museums, including the homes of Jackson Pollock, Andrew Wyeth, Georgia O'Keeffe, Winslow Homer, and many others. The historic house that actually houses the museum was designed by Peto. It underwent a multi-year historic preservation project to restore the house to how it would have been during Peto's lifetime. So the building itself is really an exquisite example of Queen Anne shingle-style architecture. And within it, it's filled with Peto's furniture. It contains paintings by the artist, his personal painting collection, his easel, his brushes, his all of his artist tools, as well as many other many objects that appear in his paintings, which were kept by the family. The house remained in the family for more than 100 years after his death.
Wow! So it really is. It's kind of like stepping back in time when you kind of walk into a whole different world when you walk into the John F. Peto Studio Museum, and it's it almost feels like you're in his. I mean, you feel like you're at his house with just and it's really not just about paintings per se. It's about kind of the whole feel of the museum. How long have you been the executive director?
Just under a year. It will be a year next month since I joined.
So since you joined, so about a year. So when you were growing up, were you like a Peto groupie? How does this happen? Were you were you stalking Peto and Peto's works all throughout your life, and one day you ended up here, or how did you end up here?
Pretty much, yeah. I've had a long museum career, but as a kid growing up in Central Jersey, I was really obsessed with the history of the state. And in 1983, I got my driver's license and jumped in my 1974 Mustang and drove to Washington, D.C. for the first real big retrospective of Peto in 1983.
Really? So you really were always a fan. This was always like
absolutely,
yeah. And so what other museums have you worked at?
It's strange, to find myself in a small museum at the Jersey Shore is really a different world for me.
Right.
I've spent my career at very large national museums in major cities.
Okay. So, for example.
The American Museum of Natural History.
I've heard of that one.
In New York.
Yeah.
I had a directorship there. The National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, which is a much
right.
younger museum
right.
compared to the one in New York. But I've served at the director level for both of those, leading mission-focused initiatives that greatly extended the educational reach of those organizations.
Very cool. So that's cool. So when you were younger, you always had an interest in art. You always had an interest in history.
Yeah, I was just a fan of museums.
Yeah.
Whether it was history, science, art, from a very young age. And my parents really nurtured that by allowing me to travel with them to see different
right.
museums around the country.
And this was even before Ben Stiller. It wasn't even
absolutely.
We didn't you didn't even know that things came alive in the middle of the night.
No, exactly.
No, that's amazing. All right, so tell us a little bit about the artist, right? So John Peto, he he lived here at the Jersey Shore. He grew up here at the Jersey Shore.
He didn't. He was actually born in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Was working there as a professional artist in the latter half of the 19th century. Had numerous locations of studios. His studios were located on Chestnut Street, but at different addresses every year. So it seems that he jumped from one place to the other from year to year. And at that time, there used to be a train that ran from Philadelphia directly to Island Heights.
Right.
So it was very easy to get down to the shore. At that time, Island Heights was a Methodist camp meeting town. He was a Methodist, started taking the train down, playing his cornet in the Methodist band, and really took a liking to Island Heights and was becoming really disillusioned with city life. You know, we're looking at the post-Reconstruction era and a lot of rapid change going on, especially in big cities and across the country. And he really just wanted a different existence where he could focus on his artwork and his family and his worship.
Very cool. So off he ends up here. And so how would you kind of characterize the representation? Because he has a tremendous portfolio. And I know this is what's here is really just kind of a small sampling. It's really just a taste of what the overall portfolio looks like. How do you determine what goes in the museum? How do you determine what are the pieces that you're going to show? How do you acquire them? Give me some of that.
We have a good number of pieces in the museum's collection, as well as all of Peto's artifacts, ephemera, everything having to do with his life that his family kept well after his demise. Which is part of the museum's permanent collection, but we have a vast number of donors that provide their paintings to us on loan. So it's either from private collections. We work closely with the Smithsonian, who we have a great working relationship with. So what's hanging on the walls changes very often.
Right. So it's never the same. I mean, it's not really the same experience. So if you were there 3 years ago, you're not seeing the same deal today.
Not at all. It's really it's a changing space, as it would have been when Peto lived there. And like you said, it's like stepping back in time when you walk into the house. You really create kind of a personal connection with the artist and a greater understanding of his work. But the museum also isn't stuck in that time period. We really celebrate Peto's legacy by putting together 2 or 3 temporary exhibitions each year that either take a fresh look at the history of art or really look at Peto's legacy to current artists, and how they're keeping the traditions of still life in Trompe-l'oeil alive.
Well, so that's interesting. So there are, I don't know that the average person would certainly I can't. My parents, yes, could tell the difference between different eras of painting, right? That there were different periods, different styles. Is that something that you talk a lot about when people are coming through, that you kind of give them kind of a history lesson, a little bit on the evolution of art, of painting, et cetera, and where Peto kind of fit in?
Absolutely. Every tour we do is different. It's really based on the visitor's interests and knowledge level and the interaction. It's a lot of question and answer and discussion. But through our public programs, through lectures, workshops, demonstrations, we're really focusing on the history of art.
Right.
Pre-Peto and post-Peto, most definitely.
Okay. So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about I know you mentioned the exhibits that you have, because I know you have a whole space where you do some temporary exhibits and folks are sending you in art from across the country and really across the world. Exactly. So I'd love to be able to talk about that. I'd also like to talk about a little bit more about the customizable kind of experience of the tour, because I think that's really part of the charm. It's not, I think, when I think about a museum, I think of the Museum of Natural History, and I think about walking in, and you may be a part of a tour with 30 people, or you may just roam the museum freely with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. But the Peto is a very different experience, and I'd like to talk about that when we get back, okay? Raymond Salva, Executive Director of the Peto Museum in Island Heights. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are here with Raymond Salva. He's the Executive Director of the Peto Museum. So we talked a little bit. What is the so I know you have kind of a rotating show upstairs, right, at the museum. So what is the current exhibition that's going on right now?
Our current exhibition is entitled the 2016 Peto Biennial. It's an international juried art exhibition of contemporary still life and trompe l'oeil. So it's both 2D and 3D work, so paintings and sculpture, representing nearly 70 notable living artists from across the U.S. and as far away as Belgium, Greece, and Romania. And that's currently on view through the summer through September 4th is when that closes.
Very cool. And what comes up after that?
After that will be something entirely different, not looking at contemporary artists, but looking back to the 19th century. The exhibition will be called Through the Lens, John Frederick Peto and the Art of Art of Photography, really looking at his change in his career when he started to focus less on paintings and more on photography, and how that sort of tells his history and his family history, and also the history of this area where he was doing, photography along the river and throughout Island Heights, really showing what family life was in Ocean County in the late 19th century.
Very cool. So I like your pocket square, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, but I digress. I will tell you are the first guest ever to walk in the studio in a bow tie, right? That is a first, right? That's a Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin first, right, Zach?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
it's
good.
in the books.
Good. Okay, good. Raymond. So your background, why don't you tell us about how your background in, Museum of Natural History, Constitution Museum in Philadelphia. How was your experience in those other museums? How have you brought that to the Peto, and how have you used that to the advantage of a smaller venue like the Peto?
Yeah, it's really, really well aligned, actually. Whether if you're with a large museum or a small museum, it's all about inspiring, challenging, educating diverse audiences of all ages, and really, building a museum's brand, reputation, and really having an impact on visitors. When I was in New York, I headed up an initiative that created object-based exhibitions and other informal education platforms that would be shown at those museums, but then also travel around the world. To date, those exhibitions and programs have been presented at more than 350 venues in 44 countries in 10 different languages. So really taking the work that was being done at those museums and breaking them out so they're reaching a larger number of people. Right. At the American Museum of Natural History, for example, they receive 5 million visitors a year on site, but those programs would reach an additional 6 million people outside of the museum, while also building the brand of the museum domestically and internationally, and creating badly needed revenue for the museums as well. And our exhibition program here is doing that as well. It's really building a reputation for the Peto Museum, giving a reason for people to come back. It's not a static institution at all. Every time you come back, it's a different experience.
And when you say building the reputation, you get calls from all across the world, basically, right? Saying, "Hey, listen, we think we have a Peto. We're looking for this. We're doing." I mean, you guys are really like the experts, the oracle for all things Peto, right?
In a way, yeah. I mean, there's limited scholarship on Peto, and we're doing that research at the same time that we're serving the public with our programs, and it's an exciting thing to do because Peto's really been overlooked for a very long period of time.
Cool. So tell me about the differentiated kind of tour experience at the Peto, because I think this is important. I think you have public hours, but you also have private tours available. So why don't you talk about that?
Exactly. Yeah, our public hours are on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4. Anyone can just walk in and have a tour. But we also do a great number of private tours Monday through Friday by appointment. And we've been really seeing the demographic of people who are coming, especially during the week, changing. Not just New Jersey. In the past month, we've had folks in from Alaska, California, Missouri. So the word is getting out. We are building a reputation right here from Ocean County, which is fantastic.
Which is great because, Island Heights in general is really such a treasure here at the Jersey Shore, which I don't think a lot of folks know about. That the amount of art and the amount of culture that's going on in this little small, this small little slice of the shore, highlighted, I think, kind of illuminated by the Peto Museum, but you can kind of see it everywhere as you kind of walk the streets of Island Heights.
Absolutely, right? And Island Heights is very much still a living artist colony. There are many artists working in that town, and no one really knows it until they step foot.
Right, it's so
into
cool.
it.
If you haven't been there, you need to get out. Get up, get out, and do something. We should use that. When we come back with Raymond Salva, Executive Director of the Peto Museum, we are going to give Raymond his magic wand. He is going to wave it around and make sure everybody has appropriate pocket squares for their suits. Stay tuned for that. Be right back.
The news never stops at WOBMAM.com. Get the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 6:33. Friday, June 24th, 71 degrees, getting all the way up to 73 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com, 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are talking to Raymond Salva, Executive Director of the Peto Museum in beautiful, sunny Island Heights. That's right, it's always sunny in Island Heights. So tell me, what kind of upcoming events do we have at the Peto Museum?
We've got a lot going on.
Yes.
Actually, next Friday is our annual summer fundraiser. That's Friday, July 1st. It's the Peto Cup. It's an ACAT regatta and American barbecue celebration afterwards.
Really?
We do this every year. It's a lot of fun. The race starts about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Party kicks off at 6. Excellent fundraiser, and it's one of the best bargains you'll find anywhere. $35 to get in.
Wow.
Gets you barbecue, shrimp, steak, burgers, hot dogs, the usual. Live band playing, open bar, and
hold on, open bar?
Open bar, sponsored by Mount Gate Rum.
Let's write that down.
And also live and silent auctions. So it's a really great time.
Cool.
So invite everybody to come out and support us. Our free summer concert series in the museum's garden continues. We had our kickoff concert last Thursday with Aaron Schul Duo, who did a fantastic job. Great show, great turnout. The next will be the New Standard, featuring Leon Holmes, a big player in the Masbury Park music scene. They'll be in the garden on Thursday, August 11th. And as I mentioned earlier, the current exhibitions are running through September 4th, and the Peto Photography Show kicks off on September 24th.
Very nice, very nice. All right, Ray, it's that time.
What time is that, Jeremy?
And I already took you. You can't do the pocket square thing because I already hit you with that one, right? You can't just wave the wand and give everyone the appropriate pocket square.
I can't, and I can't teach anyone to tie a bow tie on radio. It really does not work.
It does not work without the visuals. It's very hard to walk people through, in an auditory way. So instead, we're going to hand you the magic wand, the magic pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and to make an impact on the world as we know it, or don't know it for that matter. Raymond Salva, Executive Director of the Peto Museum. What are you doing with that magic wand?
Creating awareness of John Frederick Peto as part of the history of the great state of New Jersey. It amazes me and many of our visitors how little is known about him, and how it's not taught in New Jersey schools, how it's a piece of New Jersey history that's really been overlooked. And it's amazing. I mean, paintings by Peto hang in major museums around the world, within driving distance of where we are right now. You can head into New York and see 4 major Petos at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. You can go to the National Gallery in D.C. and see 8 Petos hanging in their galleries. Pennsylvania Fine Arts in Philly, 5 Petos on the wall. MFA in Boston, 3. Moving across the country, the Smithsonian, Art Institute of Chicago, Philadelphia Museum of Art, Fine Arts Museum in San Francisco. The list goes on and on and on, where this major artist is represented, yet it's relatively an unknown subject in our history. So if I were to wave that wand, it would really be to make people aware of this, obviously get them into the house to learn more.
So I will tell you, sorry, I hate coughing on air, but I don't know what else to do. We don't have a cough button. That was one of the first things I asked. Is there like a cough button? And there's like no make this stop. Anyway, I think if this is our 212th interview, 212th,
Wow.
right? And I think if I were to rank how the magic wand is used, I would say we're about 207 for building awareness for something, right? Because it is the biggest thing that you could do. I mean, people just don't know. I think that, oftentimes folks look at Ocean County and they say, culture, where? Right? Like they drive to Monmouth County, they drive to Manhattan, they drive to Philadelphia, they drive to God knows, Montclair or, somewhere else to find great culture and to find, education. And they have no idea that literally in their backyards in Island Heights is a jewel in the Peto Museum.
Sad but true.
And other jewels that, kind of are in the same neighborhood. Not the same quality of jewel, but still jewels nonetheless. And so awareness in this case is tremendously important and a fantastic point. And I'm with you. I'm smelling what you're stepping in, right?
Fantastic.
That's what's happening here. And I'll give you my own pocket square to clean off your shoes when we're all done. So why don't you? This is where you have your opportunity now for a little propaganda. Why don't you tell folks about the website? Give us the social media information. Right? Where do we go to learn more about the Peto Museum?
Visit our website, please. It's Peto Museum, Peto Museum.org. Contact me directly. You can link directly to my email from the website. Give us a call anytime, 732-929-4949. Would love to schedule a tour for a group of 2 to a group of 30 to come through. It's really an amazing experience that many people don't realize until they actually come and they just are baffled by the fact that they've never known about this. For many people, it's a museum that's right in their own backyard, and they weren't aware of it until they step in for the first time.
Absolutely. And I know my dad and I came, I think, last year for a tour, and it was very educational. We had a really good time, and I don't think we definitely didn't know. And my dad, of course, it was in all his glory because he could speak, he could speak about each of the different time periods and the whole. I mean, that was right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I had to start talking to him about pop culture just so I could feel better about myself every now and then. And
we really are more than just an art museum, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a historic site, so you're really looking at the history of New Jersey as well.
It is the time period, and it's like I said in the beginning, it's a step back in time and really just kind of transforms and takes you away. Like Calgon. Raymond Salva, Executive Director of the Peto Museum, thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jeremy.
Absolutely. And we will be back with more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin right after this.
Everything you need to know about the Jersey Shore. This is Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.